Hey Vikings. Today I'm just gonna kind of go over some of the recent changes to the game. It's been a few days since these came out, um, but I kind of wanted to see how it would actually play out before talking about them. So let's start with KVK and KVK Revenge being split into three phases. I think this is going to be good for player retention, not within your own clan, but within the game itself, which is good because every server is essentially slowly dying. Um, it makes the weekend a little more exciting because you have to win more than one phase, and it means you can come back from a really bad loss at the beginning. But it's pretty hard to come back, and you're going to see a lot of issues with players getting disheartened if you lose the first phase, because that means you have to win both. Um, in a lot of situations, people are probably going to say, "Okay, I'm going to save my resources for next round," but it is a good move in that direction. It's going to mean it's a little more expensive to win each thing. Um, yeah, we've seen so far a pretty substantial increase in points overall scored since this happened, which is great for Plarium because it means more money. Um, Makes it a little harder. What we do during KVK Revenge, because that one's a little bit easier to plan, or what we were doing before was we would have a massive push in the first hour of the event. And I think the last time we did that outside of a three-phase event, we had 30 to 40 billion points, and the other side just completely gave up. And even if their big players were going to push, if the smaller players see like that large of an advantage, there are going to be people that give up, and every point that isn't scored is one more point that the bigger players on that server are going to have to make up for. So it was pretty dominant strategy. We're still doing kind of the same thing in the phased ones, but it's a little more complicated. Um, Maybe not more complicated, just a little more expensive because we have to win two big pushes. The one thing I really wish they would do though is let you split up the statistics for each phase rather than only being able to see how the points were scored overall. But I would say that that change is probably a good one. The So the melee and the scout shaman. Kind of expected this to be coming. I'm a little disappointed in Plarium for releasing only two types. I was playing as a killer, or playing with killers before, and you pretty much need to swap melee if you're going to be a big player. Um, so I had to swap to melee, and I'm working on Ulf. Well, you can see he's 40 right now. Um, not super happy with how they released these, but the shaman themselves are pretty cool, so it's kind of fun. Yeah, that's kind of it with that. The way they did it is a little bit extra money grubby than normal. Um, See, everyone's going to be switching to melee now because it's probably going to overcome even fighting siege. Um, and then once they release other ones, people will then start splitting out. So you're going to end up being basically most of the large players will be melee and something else. Let's see. Um, New ghost, that's great. The gear. The gear is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But they're just the money grab in this update is just crazy. Most of the new shaman gear eats other shaman gear, which also eats other gear to make. So you're looking at what, 7+ pieces for each one. It's bleh. But the gear is good, so I don't know. Um, yeah, the infirmary capacity. This seems interesting. They're trying to bring back the infirmary. I don't think it's worth it still. I've played around with it a little bit. It's okay for hitting really big accounts. Um, I don't think it's worth it to build more infirmaries right now. But yeah, and I'm only getting the I'm not gonna actually buy a pack specifically for the little uh, healing buffs. Just kind of getting those with holiday offers. Um, the reputes, this is amazing. So there's actually kind of a reason to hold the pop now. I mean, the previous reputes were okay, but they weren't like they really just they were okay. Um, I kind of considered the place of power to be more of a pain than it was worth. Now it's not. So you've got 25% construction, training, and learning speed, which is huge because those function separately. They don't function the same way as the learning speed you get on your armor. I need to kind of actually sit down and look at how that works. Um, but essentially, most of your learning speed or any of those speed ups are going to function or are going to just kind of stack together. But the item buff and the place of power buff and I think the daily buff are applied separately, and they give you way more. So those are really good. It's also part of the strategy for KVKR now. Um, like we're now that this is here, we're taking the place of power, so it goes into shield about an hour and a half before the event starts, and then I'll go ahead and give out those 3 buffs, which the construction doesn't really matter. You don't get points for that, you don't get very many points for construction in KVKR. We'll give that out an hour and a half, and then we'll have 2 people, 1 knowledge and 1 training, do a really hard push in the first hour and score about 10 billion points. And then after the first hour and a half, we can switch it up to someone else if the enemy kingdom is pushing back. Works out pretty well. And the troop buffs are just crazy. It's 75% defense, offense for a specific troop type, and then 75% health. It's possible I got defense and health mixed up there, but yeah, so really, really, really strong. You actually need to hold the pop now, especially for KVK and KVKR. The boost window, this is really, really nice. I'm sure by this point you've all seen this by now, but um, you just go to boost. If you have something starred, it's going to be in that window, and this thing remembers the last place you were. So if you were in favorites last, bam, shield. Just makes shielding faster, or if you're doing upgrades, makes that a little faster too. Nice little quality of life buff. Overall, I'm happy with the update. Not super happy with how much more expensive it made the game, but yeah, good stuff. If you found this video interesting or helpful, hit that like button. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and I will see you all next time.